answer that question. We're going to be talking about some points of philosophy first. As you all know, and I'm just going to assume that you all know this, that your horse is a prey animal. And if you don't know that, it's on that whiteboard back there. Somebody wrote that many years ago. Horses are prey animals. They wake up in the morning when the human goes into their stall, and the first thing they think is, am I going to survive the day? Am I going to survive the day? They're not thinking about you or how you slept or how you felt. They're like, nope, it's all about me. How am I going to survive the experience? When we introduce an obstacle, an object, a maneuver, some new piece of tack or equipment, something new to their environment, their first thought is, how is that thing going to eat me? And how do I survive it? And then they go, well, if it's not going to eat me, can I eat it? No. Oh, no fun. Can I play with it? Will it give me some sense of joy? Probably not. Huh. Well, all right then. Let's kind of see how it's going to work. And they have kind of a, all right, attitude about it. Because they've gone through what we call circular thinking. Everything that we do as predators, and beautiful people are predators. I'm a predator. Teresa's a predator. The person in the stand's a predator. We have a tendency to be very linear. When we want something, if I want that red rope halter, I walk over and get that red rope halter. I snatch it up and put it on. I don't even think about it, right? I have no concern that that red rope halter is going to eat me. Your horse does. Okay. So, take your time with your horse. We're going to talk a lot today about rhythm. Take your time. Don't sneak around them. I didn't sneak around this horse at all, and I just walked the way I normally walk. But I didn't walk with aggression or anger or feeling under pressure. We have a tendency to do that with our horses. We have a tendency, because we are in such a rushing around kind of world, we have a tendency to rush them. And as you all know, if you have significant others at home, you might say, oh, I'm just going to the barn for an hour. And 4 hours later, you show up and your significant other says, where the hell were you? I was just at the barn. I said I was going to be gone an hour. It's been 4 hours. Time slows with horses. Okay? There's human time and horse time. You've heard the expression, it takes as long as it takes. How long is it going to take to get a horse to do something? It takes as long as it takes. That's something you've got to keep in mind. They're going to tell you what they're feeling. They're going to tell you by their body language, their eyes, their respiratory activity, their interaction. What? Hey, there's my friend. Hi. Look, they gave me a horse to play with.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. This is my dear friend Lindsay, everybody. She's worked with me at Pine Ridge Junev. She's now here in Pennsylvania. Her horse Apache lives not too far from here. We worked together for about 3 years. One of the really talented up-and-coming young horsewoman. And she came by to say hi and show us a little support. So I'm really, really glad that she came by to do that. So we're talking a little bit about empathy, being empathetic to them. Okay? We don't want to demand of them. We're not dictators. We're leaders. We're teachers. Okay? I don't consider myself a horse trainer. I consider myself a horse teacher. And really, who am I teaching? You first, and then your horse. So watch them. Really spend time looking at them. Okay? Get your connection going. We're going to talk about that. So the philosophical points that I want you to remember. A, prey animal. B, they need from you CPR. I usually ask this question at expos and demonstrations. What do you think the horse needs the most? And there's always some young kid in the front row who goes, oh, I know. What does that horse need? It needs food and water. Yes, true. It does need food and water. But let's be honest. If we cut these horses loose right now, open that gate and said, see you, have a great life, they can find food and water without us. They don't need that from us. But when they interact with us, our job is to provide CPR. And CPR stands for clarity, patience, and release. Okay. Clarity, patience, and release. Now, as your brain starts to cogitate on that, and you're starting to think about it, I want you to think that when you ask your horse to do something, I'm asking this horse to bend around my inside leg. I need to be clear about what I'm doing. I don't have to be angry or aggressive about it. I just have to be clear. So I'm placing my leg in what I call leg position number 2. I'm doing a little leg with a little rolling of my calf. And I'm lifting. You notice I'm not pulling. I'm just lifting my inside rein, bending that horse around. A little lazy here. Get that fixed. Nope. A little stiff on that back end. Don't know how to do that. There you go. I'm not wearing spurs. I'm not opposed to spurs. I use them all the time. But I don't know this mare. It's kind of a jerky thing for me to do, to jump on and start gouging her, right? I don't know how sensitive she is. Later in the day, I might. We're just going to see. But I'm getting to know her. But I still want to be clear. When I want her to go forward, I cue it. When I want her to stop, I cue it. I'm very, very clear in my mind, my body, my spirit, my energy, my position in the saddle, my position on the ground. Have to be clear. If you're sitting there thinking about your checkbook or what you're going to have for dinner tomorrow night or anything like that, that horse is not going to be able to track you or follow you. Okay? Because in its mind, you're the leader. If you're setting the tone, be the leader. Okay? Be clear. I also want to be patient with them. We have a tendency to rush them too much. Remember what I just said about horse time versus human time? Okay? Horse time versus human time. Don't like that, baby. There you go. Okay, good girl. I asked her to move at a trot. First time I squeezed with my legs and I gave her a little body cue, and she's like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't know you, trot me around. Right? So I waited on her. I didn't get crazy, I didn't get spurring or kicking. I just squeezed a little bit harder, gave her just a little bit more energy, and said, please give me a trot. She went, oh, okay, I'll do that for you. Okay? I was waited on her. In a horse's world, patience equates to this, a 4 count. So today as we're doing our groundwork, today as we're doing whatever we're doing with them, we're going to use a 4 count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? Why 4 count? Anybody want to venture a guess? Lindsay, you don't get to answer this, you know the answer.
Give them a chance to process it?
Yeah, in a way. They have 4 feet. 4 beats of time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. When the horse walks forward, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. When we really get good at our groundwork, we really get good at making our connection. We start timing our request to their footfall, but we'll talk about that a little later on. That's a little bit more advanced. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, as your horse begins to advance, that time frame gets smaller. Okay? Then it goes to a 3 count, then it goes to a 2 count. The horse in the banner over there that you saw, that's my horse Ronan. I've had him for about 9 years. When I ask him to do something, he gets a 2 to a 2.5 count, and then you better remove his feet. Because the agreement is 20 hours a day you get to be a horse. But for the 4 hours that I get to work with you, then you're my partner. And I'm number 1 in the partnership, and number 2. But I'm always patient with him. Bring him to new places, expose him to new things. I go back to my 4 count. Okay? Give him some patience. Let him process the information. Let him own the information. How many people here have heard, oh, when a horse is licking their lips, they're relaxed? Right? We've all heard that. That is mostly true. Okay? When they are licking their lips, that is the initializing of relaxation. Kind of like when you download a program on your computer and that little wheel spins, okay? When they start to lick and chew, lowering their head and neck, taking that nice deep breath, doing those things. That's them processing the information that they've got. That's them thinking and soaking in the lesson. When they stop licking their lips and kind of start looking around, that's when the information is processed, and that's when they're in a relaxed state of mind. We want our horses to be relaxed but receptive. We've all heard the term desensitizing, and we use that a lot in the horse world. We don't want our horses dead behind the eyes, but we want them to be active, not reactive. When I ask, I want something to happen, but I don't need you to be overreactive. So learning to give them patience helps them eventually develop emotional maturity. Last but not least is release. Release and reward. So when I asked Selena here to kind of turn on a nice big loose rein, making a left-hand turn, I'm doing a thing called lift, leg, and lift. She's doing more of a reining turn, and that's fine, because she and I are just trying to get to know each other. I'm going to ask her for a stop right here. Good girl. I stopped. I stopped asking. I stopped cueing. And I started loving on her a little bit. Okay? The reward is important. We have all heard, we've read it in magazines, we've seen it in videos, horses learn from the releasing of pressure. That's a good one. I also like to say they learn from the releasing of the request. So here I'm asking her to bend around my inside leg. And then when she does that, I just relax. When I really relax, she stops. Clarity, patience, release, and reward. Be very clear to cue, clear to request. Be very quick to release and reward. We were talking about this last night with Rowdy. When we're asking for turns, as soon as that nose of Rowdy's begins to tip in the direction that we want to stop asking for the turn. This helps him to understand not to dive into a turn or to go into a spin because the cue has been held on in his mind too long. So, and we talked about leg two, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. Okay. Clarity, patience, release.